when you were describing some of the things, prayers of the faithful and the preaching and all, thinking those are really good proactive steps that a parish could do to gain awareness in whatever ways they do about mental illness, so that they're prepared when families do reach out. And often that's the first place they're going to look is to their pastor. I mean, if they've looked it up on the internet, of course, but then to their pastor or to their pastoral associate, whoever, because they're in such dire. They may have had a call from gotten word that their child from college is acting differently and seems to not be coping well, or there might be a breakdown, as in my family with my husband a million years ago. But that first time it hits, it's so terrifying, and you have no idea what to do. So the more prepared a parish can be ahead of time, then they can be really answering and in a very good pastoral way to the person, and not in their own fear of, dear God, now what do I do, or how do I handle this one, right?
Yeah, and being pastoral in the sense of, like, I know in our own case, with our daughter, when she first showed signs of her symptoms and we had to take her to a psychiatric hospital, then we began to research, and that's the best thing you can do, is educate yourself on what the illness is. So we were looking for places, but because the parish wasn't ready to be a resource, we didn't know where to turn. And we asked the pastor, and he gave us some advice, but there really wasn't a lot of parish people who could say, well, have you tried here, or have you gone here, or here's the mental. We didn't know where a mental health clinic was. I mean, they just didn't talk about it in the area we lived in. So being a resource, and that so often people like ourselves, we were very typical, you're kind of going through life and you're not aware of mental illness because it doesn't necessarily hit you. And then when it does, you say, well, where do I go? And so if you can have a parish that has a resource person who is willing to not only tell you where the resources are, but then to help you through those resources and to be with you, so if, let's say, a person has a psychiatric, goes to a psychiatric hospital, they can visit, or they can help you, with meals, just like we do when someone is sick, bring a meal to the house while you're busy, visiting the hospital, and then when the person's discharged from the hospital, welcoming them back in the parish. That is one of the greatest things, and we could do as a parish, is then welcome them back in a way that says, we want to support you, and we want you still to be a part of the community, because a lot of times people who go through that don't feel they'll be accepted back. And so if we can make them feel welcome back, it's just one of the wonderful things we can do in terms of their recovery, because the spiritual component of recovery is a very key part.